are live on Twitch officially.
Hello there.
All right, so we are here to. Oh crap! There's like a little box there, but oh well. I think it's my camera.
Bring your beer over to it.
Put it
It's
in
like
the box.
it's targeted.
That's right. All right. I need a drink.
Get it in ya. Oi. Oi.
Oi. Yes.
Mando. Alright, we're back.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're back here on Basement Movie Room. If you'd like to follow us, you can follow us on twitch.tv/Basement Movie Room. You can follow us on youtube.com/@BasementMovieRoom. Or you can, just follow us wherever you want to. We're also a podcast as well if you're watching on there or listening on there on the podcast. But you can find us on any of your podcast apps. So we're here to review episodes 6 and 7 of The Mandalorian Season 3. We had to skip a week. Busy lives, busy things going on. So we're going to cover both episodes today. And first off, I guess we'll start with episode 6. What did you think of episode 6, chapter 22, Guns for Hire?
Let's just go right into episode 7. Talk about that.
Let's skip over an unimportant episode, really.
That episode got torched on the internet already. I don't really want to go into the bad stuff because it's already out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep beating that over the head, but it had some good stuff in it too. But overall, it seemed like it was just a filler episode to throw in some cameos.
Which is crazy, honestly, because there is not much room in this season. It feels like this season has crawled, and I'm not complaining. I've liked this season.
Oh,
but this season has crawled, and this episode did it got us.
It took a step back.
It took a step back and a step forward, ultimately. It got us where we needed to be, but it didn't get us there quickly.
But this episode pretty much took everything that season 2 ended with the dark saber and just turned it over so quick. Like season 2 didn't really mean anything with the dark saber.
Yeah,
I know Mando didn't want it and all that, but he just gave it away so quick, and she took it, and we'll get to that. But
I keep my faith in the Favreau-Filoni duo.
It was not a good episode.
Yeah, it's not as good as some of the others.
It hasn't held up to the standard.
And I'd say it kind of does stick in line with this season, which is frustration ultimately of this season. I love the show. I'm not going to complain about the show, but for this to follow up, if this had come out right after Boba Fett, I think it would be like, oh my god, this is so much better.
Yeah.
But we had Andor in between these, and Andor is a revelation in Star Wars, is the problem. And I hope Andor worked to draw people back in, because I think The Mandalorian has a lot to offer, to be honest, to fans, especially like fans of Clone Wars and Rebels. This is really just, it's a continuation of those shows.
Especially this season.
Yeah. It certainly is.
This season is very heavy on Rebels, which, if you haven't seen Rebels, you might not like this season that much because of that. We like it. We like this season a little bit more than everybody else, I think, because
it's pulling Rebels in a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's basically working towards live action Rebels. So
episode 6, I'm going to run through real quick. I'm just going to blow through it real quick, because I think we're going to spend more time on episode 7 ultimately in this. And we're going to start reviewing Barry. I just want to announce that. We're going to do some Barry reviews. We watched it tonight, but I don't think we're going to have time because we both got to work tomorrow.
Need to rewatch those.
Those are complicated. We're going to be doing some
heavy
Barry reviews for the final season. What I assume is the final season, Barry. I think they've said it's the final season. So, if you're interested in Barry, you'll want to come back, check it out. We're going to have episodes 1 and 2 of Barry probably up sometime next weekend.
Maybe we'll do 1, 2, and 3, and then
we might
review
have to
it
do that.
because there's only one episode of Mando left. We can
pop that.
maybe we can just do it all together. Yep.
So episode 6 is called Guns for Hire, and you know, I'm just going to run through this episode real quick. We'll talk about it real quick, and we'll jump to episode 7 because I don't think there's much to say on this. Chapter 22, Guns for Hire, episode 6 of season 3. We have Mando and Bo-Katan flying into a planet, Plavis, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a couple weeks since we watched the episode. We're a little behind, obviously. That's why we're kind of we had a lot going on. We weren't able to get together last weekend to discuss this, but we're here today to provide you the what you want from us. All 5 of you who listen to us.
We appreciate you.
We love you all. Email us and tell us your names. We'll send you a nice card or something.
Gift basket.
Basement Room Podcast with an S at gmail.com. So, episode 6, Bo and Mando fly into this planet. They get to the planet and they're greeted, and the ship is taken in, which I'm shocked I remember this well. The ship is taken in by remote control or something, which I didn't know they could do that, you know? It's like on Cloud City, when they go to see Lando, they don't take over the ship. They just have a couple of guys flying around
bringing them in.
To drive them in. In this, they take over Bo's ship, which seems crazy that they can do that.
Is it like a tractor beam?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they take over her ship. She wants to go see the Mandalorians, which it's Axe Woves and whatever the Mercedes Renato's character's name.
Yeah,
but
I forget.
She's trying to go see them to reunite them with the Mando's covert to bring them back together to retake Mandalore. But when they get to the planet, they're told they have to go see the leaders of the planet instead, and they can't go anywhere else. There's no way to get to the Mandalorians because they kind of lock them down. They get in this tube thing and take them to the leaders, and the leaders are played by Lizzo and Jack Black.
Yeah.
Jack Black with maybe one of the worst Star Wars names in history of Star Wars. Captain Bombardier.
Bombardier, yeah.
How silly is that name? It's terrible.
The Bombardier General that's from Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
He's a former Imperial officer, and he met Lizzo, who is like the royalty of this planet, and they fell in love, got married. He was in the same program as like Elia Kane and Dr. Pershing was. So, you know, but on this planet, they can't have a standing army because of rules of the New Republic, because he's a former Imperial, but they can hire these mercenaries that can't be in the city.
Yeah.
So they bring in Bo and Mando, and they explain to them that they have an issue with droids on the planet. That all these droids, they use battle droids, all kind of different battle droids on this planet to do things, and some of the droids are acting up and have caused problems. We see a video of the droids like acting bad, and there's one video where that droid chef like clearly killed people.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see it, but he clearly killed people.
Oh man, yeah.
So they're basically like, we can't bring the army in here, but you two are Mandalorians, which they've got a bunch of Mandalorians outside their city as their guards, so they could have just brought them in.
Yeah.
But they're like, you two are Mandalorians, so it's part of your religion that you carry weapons. We can't have weapons.
It didn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
The whole episode didn't make sense.
The episode opens up with Axe Woves and his crew like working to bring back a Mon Calamari royal back to to Mon Calamari.
Prince, it was like
and it's like Quarrens. And I guess the point was just to reintroduce Axe Woves is what it was really doing, because he's, you know, the main Mandalorian of that crew that
still
left
a bounty,
Bo-Katan.
a bounty hunter.
Yeah, they're basically just bounty. Yeah, they're doing bounties and things like that. So they bring them back, and that just doesn't matter. Maybe it's going to matter in the future, but I don't see it coming back. But it's like a Romeo and Juliet type story at the first. That's over. We get to the main action of the episode. So Mando and Bo-Katan, they really don't have much choice. They have to agree to do this mission.
Yeah.
And they send them off to do this mission, and we meet the other cameo in this episode. Christopher Lloyd playing Commissioner Hellgate, I believe is his name, Commissioner Hellgate. And I'm like, this is Doc Brown traveling in time. It's Doc Brown. So Commissioner Hellgate.
Anytime you see him on screen,
it's Doc Brown.
It brings a smile to your face. So
what was the movie he was in? Nobody. He's so great in Nobody.
Just shows up.
Christopher Lloyd's amazing. He's amazing. I love him. He's the best. So, quick drink. So they decide to do this mission. They go talk to Commissioner Hellgate or whatever his name, Commandant Hellgate or whatever his name is. His name's Hellgate. I know that. So the funny thing is, I can remember his name because I remember years ago there was this game that came out called Hellgate London, and that's all I can think of when I hear that name, Hellgate. It's Hellgate London. So he tells them that the droids are reprogrammed. He doesn't understand what's happening, and they're he's got these buttons where he can shuttle the droids down, and they're like, "Why don't you just do that?" And he's like, "Well, this planet is beholden to the droids because nobody works on this planet. It's all droids. Everybody lives lives of leisure on this planet, basically, which that's a future I could see coming at some point with the AI and the way it's going.
Yeah.
I use Chat GPT to title episodes on YouTube and write YouTube descriptions and things like that.
It's like WALL-E.
Yeah. So Hellgate sends them off to do the missions, and they find out that they have what are Nick Nolte's character? What are those guys called?
The Ugnaughts.
The Ugnaughts.
Yeah.
So Ugnaughts are the guys who do like the droid maintenance on the planet, which makes sense because those are the guys who do droid maintenance all over. They're huge technicians, basically. They're engineers. So they send them off, and they decide to go see the Ugnaughts and talk to the Ugnaughts. I guess did they go?
They go
take out the droid.
Oh yeah, they take out the droid first.
They take out one bad droid first, but I know they talk to the Ugnaughts, and the Ugnaughts tell them like, "Hey, this is no." Jeez, I'm having a bad time.
I think they take them out and then take them to
where these places are going to happen, and they're like it seems like this one other place is where it's going to happen. So there's these battle droids, like these heavy battle droids, the big battle droids, not like Roger type battle droids. So they go there, and Mando's not a droid fan, if you don't remember that. He does not like droids. He doesn't trust droids because they're the ones who killed his parents, and that's how he ended up being a Mandalorian, essentially. So he starts messing with the droids, and one of them all of a sudden just takes off. So they chase him down. They take the droid out, and they discover this they call it it's like a matchbook, kind of. Like a droid has a matchbook, and it leads them to this bar.
Yeah, business card to the bar.
Yeah, it's basically a business card to the bar. It leads to this bar, and they discover, and I can't remember if this is before they talk to the Ugnaughts or after, but nonetheless, they talk to the Ugnaughts, and it's kind of interesting because in the Ugnaught scene, Bo is not good with the Ugnaughts.
Yeah, she can't communicate with him.
Mando knows exactly how to communicate with him because he's been friends with Ugnaught, with Quill, obviously, and he tells them he knows Quill, and they knew Quill.
Yeah.
Like you can tell they knew Quill. He was important.
And he's like, this is what's going to happen. I have spoken.
Yeah, I have spoken.
Yeah.
That
it's real direct. Yeah.
So they kind of inform him that the droid should not malfunction. And I think.
And this is some of the good stuff that's in this episode.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
With the Ugnaughts, yeah.
But it really doesn't matter ultimately.
No.
And the worst part.
The whole episode doesn't matter.
The worst part about him talking to Ugnaughts is he did not talk about IG-11. Because they probably had something. They might have been able to help bring IG-11 back. Quill did it once.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the worst part. But that's gonna. There's a reason for that in episode 7.
Just a lot of head scratching going on this episode.
So they end up taking out this one droid and find this matchbook, and they go to this bar that is a droid bar. And I almost expected when they went to the bar that the droid to say, "We don't serve your kind." But they kind of did that. They did say, in a way, they serve our kind here or something like that. So the droid at the bar is like, "Hey, we want to cooperate. We want rights essentially, and we want to cooperate. We don't want this kind of stuff to happen. We want to serve the people. We want to be, citizens essentially." So the droid bartender tells them like, "These droids we're in here taking this fluid. It's like oil or something, like oil baths or whatever. Taking this fluid on this certain day." So they ask him, "Hey, do you have this still?" And so they take a sample of it and they take it to this I don't know, scientist.
Yeah. All right, scientist.
Hello, scientist. So they take it to the scientist, and they use a probe droid, an old probe, like not a probe droid, but the interrogation droid, like we saw from A New Hope.
Right.
It was interrogating Leia. They use that, and they take a sample out of this droid of the fluid or whatever, and the technician there takes a look at it, and she says, "Oh, there's nanobots in this, and this would have been illegal to bring in." And they're like, not many people could do it, but Hellgate is the person who brought this in.
Yeah.
So it was Hellgate. And then the interrogation droid goes off because it took in some of the nanobots and it took it over and made it malfunction.
Go crazy, yeah.
So they kill that droid and they head back to Hellgate and they talk to him, Christopher Lloyd, playing his heart out on this, giving it all he's got, even though it's a silly role.
Yeah.
And essentially,
he is hamming it up.
They find out that Hellgate is a separatist.
Yeah.
So we're going back to Attack of the Clones, unfortunately. Yeah. Fuck that shit.
Heavy Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I'm not fond of going back, but maybe we can repair this.
I even brought up to you, I was like, I'd rather watch Attack of the Clones than this episode. That's true, though. No, it's not. It's not.
But he's a separatist. He essentially does not want to be part of the Empire, doesn't want to be part of the New Republic. He just wants to be on their own, independent, essentially. But he's living on a planet that could be independent, except we have Bombardier here, and the guy hates Bombardier, essentially, is why he did this.
Right.
And he's got a button there that he says, if I hit this button, all the droids on the planet are going to essentially go rogue and take out everybody. But Bo shoots him with something like a stun dart or something. So they take him back to Jack Black and Lizzo's character, who... That's another thing I hated about this. They just leave Grogu with them.
Yeah.
They don't even know if they're good people. No. They assume they are, I guess, and Grogu stays there with them. I don't get it. So they take Hellgate back to them, and it's like, hey, this is Hellgate. He's your bad guy here. He's the one who did this. All your droids are fine. He just poisoned some of them, essentially. And Lizzo's character, who's like the queen or something of this planet, it's like, you worked for us for years. Why did you do this? And essentially, he's just, I felt that it was the right thing to do for us. Basically. Yeah, he was thinking in the interest of the planet, not really in interest of himself, I think. But he just did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the end of that storyline. That's really it. I mean, I can explain it like.
So they were granted access to...
it took me like 15 minutes to explain that. It's nothing.
Then granted access to
They're granted
the
access
Mandalorians.
to go talk to the Mandalorians. So that's it for that part. So they go out there, and X-Woves is there, and they're kind of standoffish. X-Woves and his crew, Mercedes Varnado's there, whatever her name is in the show. So... Axe is not big on going back with Bo-Katan. He's like, you don't even have the dark saber,
I'm the leader now.
Yeah,
back off.
It's another silly thing that the dark saber means so much, but they're almost cultish in that regard. Mm-hmm. Like this one thing is going to make them follow. So Mando has like kind of a, I don't know if you've been thinking about this before, but it comes out of nowhere in my opinion. That hey, I lost the dark saber in battle technically when I was captured. She defeated the person who captured me and reclaimed the darksaber. Yeah. It's hers. Gives it back to her, and all the Mandalorians follow the line.
And it was so quickly done. Yeah. And that whole big storyline in season 2 just kind of went to the wayside.
Fun. Yeah. Didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But the darksaber's back in the possession of Bo-Katan, which it has been multiple times. So that's it. That's it for that episode. I mean, it is what it is. It's an okay episode.
Yeah,
it's filler. I don't know why they needed it.
This is probably the worst episode of all the seasons. I mean,
it's definitely the worst episode of this season. Yeah. I mean, it has some company because there's been a couple mediocre episodes this season.
Yeah, this one's the worst for me.
But at least it does move the story along. It's just 45 minutes. It's 40 minutes of uselessness with 5 minutes of goodness.
There's a lot of cringe in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this just went from like Mandalorian's been pretty gritty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For Disney Plus, but this episode just felt like it went way off.
It did. It was a filler episode. It didn't matter. I don't feel like there's much that mattered for the ultimate storyline other than the Mandalorian.
It was a dumb storyline. So, but it brings us to episode 7.
Chapter 23, The Spies.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to talk about now. So, what did you think about this episode?
My favorite of the season. So we went from my worst to my favorite.
I don't know for sure if it's my favorite. I think,
the season.
Yeah, of the season.
Yeah.
I think I'm torn between this one and the one where they go to rescue Paz Visa's kid, because I really liked that episode a couple episodes ago.
That was a good one, yeah.
That's a good episode.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't really have a lot to move the plot along, in my opinion, either. But I really enjoyed that episode. So it's close, though.
But that kind of got back to the Mando, the original Mando formula.
Yeah.
It was more episodic.
Yeah,
than,
for sure.
Like, this episode is really moving the story along, and it's part of, it's not so, like mission based.
Yeah.
Which 6 was mission based, but it made no sense. 7 is more pushing the story along. So
yeah.
But yeah, I like that episode a lot.
Yeah. 7's great. It's entitled The Spies, and I'm not sure who the spies are. Clearly there's one. Mm-hmm. Elia Kane. We get her in the opening of the episode. She's a spy, and we'll go into
very heavy. It felt like Blade Runner right off the bat.
It did.
I was like, man, this feels like Blade Runner. With her walking through the alley there. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a very, very Blade Runner feel. Harrison Ford could have been right in there. Wouldn't have been out of place.
Yeah. Just deep fake Harrison Ford in there.
Yeah. So, episode 7 begins with Elia Kane walking through an alley in the Blade Runner universe, essentially. And she meets up with a probe droid, which it's just a standard Imperial probe droid. It's not changed at all. It's just a probe droid. Nobody apparently saw a probe droid just flying in Coruscant at this point. So she goes to the probe droid, and we discover that the probe droid is from Gideon, Moff Gideon, who has escaped. We saw that in a recent episode. Episode 5, I believe, is the one where we discovered that Moff Gideon's ship. Yeah. So, Moff Gideon's escaped, clearly. He's back in charge of something, at least. And he's meeting with Elia Kane through this probe droid in hologram form. And Elia's telling him that the news about the Mandos getting back together, essentially, which happened in Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. And she tells him that this is what's happening, and this is why she's contacting him now instead of, waiting till later or whatever. And he's like, well, that can't be. What happened? And she's like, well, Bo-Katan Kryze has made the connection, essentially. So Gideon looks a little worried, and that's the end of that scene. So yeah, I mean, that's it. That scene. Anything to say about that one?
No, just the whole Blade Runner feel. Right off the bat. And I mean, that storyline too has a lot of the Andor feel to it as well. Yeah, that
does. That's got very much more an Andor feel.
And this show does a lot of bringing Andor in, Rebels, everything. It's kind of bringing Star Wars together.
Yeah, it's pulling together. Of course, Andor's pre-trilogy.
Yeah.
Original trilogy, and this is post-original.
It just has that feel.
Yeah,
it's almost shot the same in those, those storylines. Yeah.
All right, so we move on. The next scene is Grief Karga on Navarro, and there's a large Imperial ship coming over Navarro, and his droid runs in. It's like, oh, there's an Imperial ship coming over. So it's like, did you guys not notice this coming in from space? I mean, are you just noticing as it passes over you, the shadow gives it away? And Grief's like, oh no, those markings, that's not an Imperial ship. That's Mandalorian ship. They're Mandalorians here.
It's got the big mythosaur on her.
Yeah. He's like, those markings are Mandalorian. So
I had to take a lot of paint.
Yeah, tons of paint. I mean, impressive. They really, maybe Sabine.
Yeah.
So the ships land. And,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's right. Ahsoka.
For Ahsoka.
Coming soon. We'll be doing that one for sure.
Yeah.
So the Mandalorians land. The new Mandalorians get out and meet the Mando Mandalorians, as I like to call them, the Armor's Mandalorians. And of course, they immediately remove their helmets. It's like, could you guys maybe just keep your helmets on for a little bit longer, maybe, to respect these parts? But that's not what they're going to do. And they meet, and it's kind of some tension there. And then the Armorer comes out and bangs her vice and her hammer together and says, hey, welcome, set up camp, and we'll talk. So So that's kind of it. That's it for that scene.
Yeah.
You know, X-Wolves giving the stink eye to Paz Vizsla.
Oh,
those two are. We're gonna have a little bit of
you
those
already
two
know.
later.
Yeah, something's coming there.
So yeah. So they are at like a large. Oh, Grief Karga also shows up to welcome Mando back and give him some of Michael Jordan's tequila. And she really got that one.
Yeah, that's right.
But he gives them a bottle of liquor, and it's Michael Jordan's tequila.
Saying,
that's
yeah.
what it is. And this is chapter 23.
Chapter 23. Yeah, makes sense.
So, yeah, I thought that's a nice touch. If that was on purpose.
I like that. Yeah,
it's a nice touch, and I think it was. So Grief Karga kind of gives that, and that's it for him in this episode. He's gone the rest of the episode. It doesn't make sense to keep him in there. It's just nice to get a little view of Carl Weathers.
Oh yeah,
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
So
nice.
The Mandalorians have a big feast that night, and Bo-Katan gets out and says, "Hey, we're going to take back Mandalore, but I need a crew to go in and survey the planet and go to the Great Forge and figure out if we can get there before we bring everybody in, set up camp, things like that." So she asks for volunteers, and slowly volunteers come out. Mando is first, of course. Paz Vizsla stands up, X-Wolves. All the main characters essentially stand up and volunteer. And there's a couple other Mandalorians, including that one that looks like he's about 16 years old.
Right.
There's one that looks very young on the X-Wolf side of things. But a number of them from each side volunteer, and the armorer volunteers, of course, as well.
And they got perfect hair.
They're
when they take their
beautiful, no hair. They got that.
No.
That's hair mitts. You know, it doesn't touch your hair.
They're perfect hair. Every time they take the helmet off.
So they all volunteer, and that's the end of that scene. And then they're going to head to Mandalore.
Yeah, little 13th warrior.
Oh yeah.
Feel.
I brought that up. It's like, how did they know when to stop volunteering? Because they didn't really say how many they needed. It's just all of a sudden the volunteers stop. Yeah. It's like, they're good.
They got 13.
13 warriors.
Taking on Moff.
So that's it for that scene.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything else to say.
No,
it's pretty standard stuff.
Just shows the division between, the two tribes, I guess you want to call it.
The two tribes in Mandalore. Which there has to be more. There's not like that many of them, ultimately. I guess there's probably like 300 maybe.
Yeah, I mean...
Of course, that's all you need. Jerry Butler only needed 299 other ones.
He brought more warriors.
That's right.
But not too much more to say on that.
It's pretty sad. So they board the ships and they fly in with the volunteers to Mandalore. Bo had explained that we can't get signals out and we can't scan the planet surface, so we have to go down and explore and find the Great Forge, see what's happening there. So they go down to the surface of Mandalore. As soon as they land, they get out of the ship and there's a big vehicle coming towards them. So they're all ready to fight. And the vehicle ends up being like this skiff, I guess, like a land skiff. Yeah. And it's on skids. Cool. Very cool. Very cool, like ship-looking thing. Oh, yeah. Like actual, like pirate ship-looking thing.
Exactly.
And it ends up, these are some Mandalorians that were left on the planet. They stayed there I guess it's 10 years, maybe, since the Scourge of Mandalore.
Yeah, at least.
It's something like that. They've been there quite a long time. One of them's the black colonel from Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, we just saw him on Barry too.
He's on Barry now. Season 4.
And then Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad also on there. So these guys come up and they stop their skiff and they recognize Bo-Katan's armor. That she's wearing the Night Owl armor, and she identifies her stuff as Bo-Katan, and they're loyal to her. At least they say they are. Are they the spies? I don't know. We don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
So they identify as loyal to Bo-Katan and that they're going to help them. They ask if they have food, and Bo-Katan says yes, and which is good because I guess they're low on food. So they all join up, and they have a lot of injured as well. So they're on the skiff, and they're planning on going to the forge. And the armorer volunteers to take all the injured back to the fleet to help them because they're not going to be able to fight if there's a fight ahead of them. So the armorer leaves in Bo's ship, is taking the injured back to the main fleet, and the rest of them go onto the skiff, and the guys that were on the skiff essentially say that, hey, we can take you directly to the forge. We know exactly where it is. We can take you there. So that's good, and they take off essentially. So anything else to say about all that?
No, I really enjoyed the design of the skiff though. That was
it's great.
It's a great ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, and to bring in the Top Gun Maverick guy,
And
that was great. Yeah, and Skinny Pete.
Listen, play some piano. Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, the armorer leaves, flies back to the fleet with the guys, and they take off towards the forge. As they're going to the forge, they Paz Vizsla and Axel are playing.
We didn't talk about the kind of look that the armorer gave.
Yeah, there's some rumor. There's some things out there that think the armorer may be the other spy.
Yeah,
she's working with Gideon. Possibly, and the
pirates. There was
between them.
Yeah,
that seems like
there was a connection there. Yeah,
there was something there. Like she recognized him or knows him,
or maybe she knows that they're working. For Gideon, possibly. Yeah,
is she actually Death Watch and works for the Saxons? We don't know. And if you haven't watched Rebels, you're not gonna know what that who Gar Saxon is.
Yeah, he's got to come into play.
Yeah, you'd think he would.
Yeah.
I don't remember. He didn't die in Rebels, did he? I don't think so.
Yes.
Did he die in Rebels?
Yeah, Sabine. Oh, wait. Yeah, he did.
I don't remember very well on that front. But, in any case, they take off towards the forge. That look between them is definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because it was noticeable.
Yeah.
Very noticeable this time.
Yeah. Paz and Axe are playing like a chess-like game, and Paz makes a move that is illegal in the game according to Axe, but not illegal to Paz. And they get in a fight, and we didn't go into
the
IG-11.
Yeah.
Back on Navarro, Mando goes to see Grief Karga, and they've converted IG-11 to IG-12, which is a robot mech suit for Baby Yoda, Grogu. And Grogu loves it. He's in it, and he can say yes and no in it, and he loves it, and he's stealing fruit and all this crap. It's kind of silly stuff.
Yeah, it's very silly.
We spent the last episode saying droids should be people, and then this episode we hollow out one to make a mech suit.
They got one. Yeah.
So Axwolves and Paz have a pretty good fight. And Paz has got his vibrato blade or whatever it is. Very cool.
Oh yeah.
And Axe doesn't even have his helmet on, which is crazy. And they get in a fight, and ultimately nobody stops it, but Grogu steps in the middle to stop it, saying no. And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because they flash over to Bo and Mando, and Bo's like, "Oh, you taught him well." And he's like, "I didn't teach him that. It's clearly Luke taught him. The pacifist.
Exactly.
Luke's a pacifist at this point, so he taught him that." So they stop that fight, and then they're just continuing on. And as they approach where they need to go, massive monster busts out of the ground and destroys the skiff. I think
at first you think it's the mythosaur.
It seems like it,
but it's not.
It's some big dragon type thing, just another thing. One of those creatures that has awoken or something, like Bo-Katan said. Destroys the skiff, which was an awesome vehicle. I hate to see it destroyed. Probably takes out a few of the Mandalorians.
You saw a few of them
die. A few of them died. Yeah, and they retreat into a cave to get away from it. And as they go down through the cave, they're at the forge. This is the cave that leads to the forge. And they get down to the forge, and Axe is still with them at this point. And he says, "Oh no, we're here. This is the forge of Mandalore." And
that was kind of convenient.
It's kind of It's kind of broken down and in bad shape. And all of a sudden, they get attacked by these Mandalorian-looking white soldiers. We saw these earlier. We had a meeting.
Moff introduced them at the last episode.
Yeah, and we saw Moff. We did have that meeting. I forgot to talk about the meeting between Moff Gideon and all the others after he met with Eli Kane. We had Commandant Hux, which is General Hux's father. It's played by Domhnall Gleeson's brother, actually.
Really?
It's his brother. It's another Gleeson. Another one of the Gleeson boys.
There we go. All right.
Yeah. So it's played by his brother, playing his father.
Another connective tissue.
And then we have a number of other, and we have General Pelion. Pelion, who is Thrawn's right-hand man.
Right.
In Rebels and Clone Wars.
Yeah. Very heavy.
And they're talking about Thrawn, and they're talking about Project Necromancer as well, which is the project to bring the Emperor back to life, which clearly succeeds because we got Rise of Shitty Skywalker.
Yeah. How are they going to make that movie any better?
They're trying.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because people were talking, and Bald Move was talking about, like, let's just come up with the dumbest name for the project ever. Project Necromancer. Who cares?
Yeah.
And also, when Gideon walks into that chamber, he walks by some tanks that had a bunch of, like, looks like clones.
Yeah. I think those are Snokes.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
Very well could be. But we had that meeting. That was early in the episode. I forgot to cover it. But at this point, he had walked by some white. They look like people in suits, but I guess they're droids. Honestly, he had walked by them, but
had the doors.
Yeah,
from
Phantom
Menace.
I was like, that's Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
for sure. So these guys attack they're dark troopers. They're white now, but they're dark troopers. They attack Mandalorians, and they're made of Beskar now. Mm-hmm. So clearly they've gotten their hands on Beskar. We don't know how, don't know why, but they're on Mandalore, so maybe there's something of that's going to come up. So the Mandalorians are fighting back. X-Woves is told to go get help. He jetpacks out of the cave and goes to get help. I don't know how he's going to get back to the ship though, because the armor took the only ship that came to the surface.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Maybe for communication.
He's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't communicate.
No, they
the
can't.
magnetic field around the planet.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's gonna jetpack up to the ships apparently.
Huh. Yeah.
In any case, that maybe says X-Woves is the spy because he kind of bounced as soon as the fighting started.
True.
So they fight off these guys. They go deeper into the cave and they discover some very imperial-looking stuff built in there. Mm-hmm. And they walk through a blast door, and the blast doors close around him, and Mando's on the outside of the blast doors, and there's more of the dark troopers, and we discover this is Moff Gideon's hideout. Right. This is where he is. This is his base of operations at this point. They capture Mando, take him away. Grogu's with the other crew. He's within the blast doors, and essentially he tells them, like, essentially he's just saying you should give up. This is my planet now, and like they're made of Beskar, and I have my Beskar.
Yeah,
he's got
helmet. Some upgraded.
Yeah, he has a helmet that looks
very similar,
much like the armorer's helmet. Yeah.
Got the horns, for sure. So they're trapped in there, and for some reason, at some point, they shoot at the door. It's a blast door. They're not going to get through it. I don't know why they did that, but I think they're kind of covering Bo going back to cut the other door open with the Darksaber to escape. But Mando gets captured, and they ultimately get the door open after Moff Gideon leaves. Paz goes out and closes the door behind himself to save the rest of them, and starts just taking out dark troopers like a champ, which is crazy because they're Beskar armored, and Mando had a huge hard time with them in the earlier episodes. He used his flame.
Yeah.
He took out a bunch too.
Yeah, I mean they were taken out.
They got took out pretty easy.
They're way too easy.
Everything Gideon comes up with gets destroyed pretty easy.
Yeah, and those are from Dark Forces, the game with Kyle Katarn, and they weren't that hard to take out in there. They're like 3 times as strong as a stormtrooper. Dark so Forces. It's like, I guess that's fitting back in, but we showed it was so difficult to take them out in an earlier episode. Was that end of season 2? I think with Luke coming in, Luke takes them out no problem. Totally. But they're not that hard to take out. Paz takes out all of them. Yeah, and then the Praetorian Guard show up that he had asked for. Gideon had asked for Praetorian Guard, so we got 3 Praetorian Guard who are like, SAS or something like that.
Yeah,
like Navy SEALs.
They were
of stormtroopers essentially.
Yeah,
they came in. Paz puts up a good fight,
Mm-hmm.
but Paz ultimately gets killed by the Praetorian Guard. See you later, Paz. You were a great character. We
went out with a bang.
We definitely went out with a bang.
Yeah.
So he does what he can, but he does cover the escape of all the other Mandalorians to get out that door. They kill him, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
Yeah, a lot of action.
Absolutely great episode. Yeah. Lots of goodness.
Yeah, Mando gets captured, taken off.
Yeah, he does. So
see what
Grogu's with the Mandalorians. He didn't get captured.
We're probably going to see Pedro's face.
Yeah, I can't imagine they don't de-helmet him.
Yeah, they're going to have to interrogate him.
He can just go swim again.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
So it's that scene with Paz he's badass, and Tate Fletcher plays Paz Vizsla in the episode, and like he's played him throughout the series. Like he's been the guy in the suit for a while. There was Jon Favreau's voice, but this year it was actually Tate Fletcher.
Him. Okay,
it was Tate Fletcher's voice this year, which makes sense that they would give it to him this year because he's going to go down this year. But Tate Fletcher did a great job. I mean, again, the Mandalorians showing the motion and things in their helmets is always fantastic. I think it's really, really good what they do.
Yeah, they've really done a good job with the actors, expressing themselves.
Oh, they definitely have.
I mean, it's hard to just without a helmet.
Body language, using body language, But it's a very good episode.
Setting up so much to come.
Very much so.
I mean, it makes you excited for the season finale and beyond, because they're not going to be able to wrap everything up.
No.
In one more episode. So
no, I have a feeling that
it's leading into a lot other.
Yeah, I don't know what the last episode's going to be, but I have a pretty good feeling we're going to end on a dark note. Kind of like Empire Strikes Back, a dark note, where maybe the armor...
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It's by far the best Star Wars movie. It's like, it's heads above everything. But...
just barely above Episode 2.
Yeah, well, it's hard to beat Episode 2.
The second one.
I don't like saying that.
The second one, right? The second one's...
The second one released? Or the
yeah, the second one.
The fuck you just say to me?
Check out VODO.
That's right. So...
bored.
Yeah, really good stuff here. I mean, setting up a nice story for the finale.
Yeah.
I like I said, I feel like we're going to go dark on the end of this one. I think we're going to have Moff Gideon ahead of the game on this one. I think we're going to have a betrayal, be it from the armor or from the new Mandalorians we just met. There's going to be a betrayal.
They may take out Gideon, and Thrawn comes in, and then they're wrecked.
Yeah,
I think they're going to introduce Thrawn.
If you don't know Thrawn,
you're going to get a glimpse of Thrawn at the end of the next episode, which is going to lead into Ahsoka.
That may be the case.
Yeah, I feel
Lars
that.
Mikkelsen going to come in as Thrawn.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here and everywhere on the internet.
And everywhere on the interwebs. Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Wednesday can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
Especially when it's come. I got a lot going on Monday and Tuesday.
This was a good, it was refreshing, especially after episode 6.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, no, what's going on here? Is this series starting to just on a downward spiral here? So this one really got it back on track.
It did
for me.
It really did. It's fantastic. Yeah.
And I'm loving all the Rebels references.
Oh yeah.
I can't say enough about that show. For it to be an animated kids show, there's a lot of adult themes in there. Yeah. Heavy Star Wars stuff.
Most definitely.
So, yeah.
Ahsoka's going to be good stuff, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's absolutely. Be Rebels season 5.
Yeah, Filoni just needs to be the man.
Yeah. And he pretty much is at this point. He's getting his own movie.
Yeah. Yeah, just hand him the keys.
Here's the keys to Star Wars, Filoni. That's what George Lucas wanted him to be, the guy.
Yeah, true.
I mean, and it makes sense now. George didn't make a lot of good decisions at the end, but George picked somebody who knew what he was doing.
You think he would buy him back?
I think he's enjoying his $4 billion.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for the Mandalorian reviews this week. I've got to get an Uber and go home. So
can't wait for Wednesday.
Yeah,
and we'll talk to you guys on probably Friday.
We're gonna try to get this review up Friday for the finale and some Barry reviews.
Yes,
and some movie reviews.
So excited about
maybe
Barry.
A new old show review.
Oh,
that we're gonna start doing?
Very much so.
Because we're gonna be without a show other than Barry came back. We're gonna be doing Barry. But we're gonna maybe bring up a new old show. We watched a little bit of it recently, and I think it's gonna be.
There's 5 seasons, and we'll leave it at that.
I think it's gonna be a good one. A new old show.
A new old show.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Yeah. What?
So, all right. Again, you can find us basementmovieroom.com or twitch.tv/basementmovieroom.
Yep.
YouTube.com/@basementmovieroom. Basement Movie Room Podcast with an S at gmail.com. With an S, you should not type that. You should probably type Basement Movie Room Podcast at gmail.com if you want to email us. I'd love an email. We haven't got a single email. I would love an email. Ask a question. I don't care what it is. You can ask whatever. You can make a request for a movie for us to watch. I don't care. Just send us a question. But in any case, we will see you next time, hopefully on Friday, to review some more stuff. If you have any questions, please email them. And that is it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Till next time.